With Major League Baseball facing an indefinite delay to the start of the 2020 season due to the coronavirus pandemic, and the Dodgers having closed Camelback Ranch at least until the first week of April, several players have either returned to Los Angeles or their off-season homes. Ross Stripling elected to head to Texas with his wife Shelby. DodgerBlue.com spoke with Ross about the environment inside the clubhouse as players were being informed of the dangers of coronavirus, his current workouts, how he's passed the time, and more. At what point, it's sort of a two-part question. At what point did you personally become sort of aware of like the coronavirus and how it was spreading? And do you remember when maybe the league or the Dodgers kind of addressed it with you guys in the clubhouse?
Oh man, good question. Right off the bat, ask me about dates. Let's see. I feel like I had a feeling about the coronavirus maybe a little bit earlier because I definitely follow the Chinese market, and it was starting to really hit the market over there, their stock market and their economy in general, which obviously affects us. I mean, they're one of the biggest economies in the world, and so that is when it was brought to my attention. That was probably, that was well before spring training, and then when we got to spring training, there were still, whispers of it, and kind of hearing cases growing in China and then shutting down their economy a little bit and all that, and people wondering, is it coming over this way? And then, man, I wish I had better dates for you, but I guess, we had our first couple cases in the U.S. and that cruise ship that got stuck and had all those cases. And within a few days, we had our main doctor, team doctor, and then Stan Kasten, our CEO, come into the locker room and kind of run down for us what the deal is on the coronavirus. And at that point, it was kind of, we weren't even asking questions like, would we play in front of 0 fans or anything like that. It was just kind of like, wash your hands. This is a minor version of the flu kind of stuff. And then it just every day, man, seemed to get more and more serious. And now obviously we are where we are.
Was there a growing sense, like amongst the clubhouse, that it was starting before maybe the cancellation of spring training games, that it was a lot more serious than maybe a lot of people might have expected? Or do you think it kind of took that before everybody realized, like, oh man, the season could be in jeopardy, or at least losing some games?
I don't think we really thought it was coming to this. For the few days before baseball was really put on hiatus, it was a lot of talk around the NBA where LeBron was saying, like, no, I'm not playing in front of 0 fans. And then I was actually watching the Mavericks game where Mark Cuban found out, that baseball or basketball was going to get suspended. And you saw that big reaction that he had that went viral all over social media and all that. And I was watching with my roommate, Kyle Farmer, and he was like, do you think that could happen in baseball? And I was like, I don't think so, man. I think maybe play in front of no fans, but there's no way we put baseball on hold. And 48 hours later, I woke up thinking I had 4 innings against the Cubs, and by the end of that day, baseball was suspended. I mean, it happened really fast. I don't think we're special as baseball players in a situation like this. We don't get information earlier than others. We were kind of finding it out as the general public was, and man, it just kind of every day seemed to get a little bit more serious, and then once you have mega, enterprises like the NBA and March Madness and those kind of guys shutting their doors, I mean, you kind of had the feeling that we were going to follow suit.
Now, I know you do the stockbroker stuff during the off season. Have you kind of been inundated with calls because MLB's on hold and all that stuff is going on?
Well, you mean like, am I involved in kind of like what we're hearing from the MLB as to how it pertains to us as players?
No, sorry. Like from the stockbroker side, like people you kind of assist, like your clients, so to speak.
Oh yeah, definitely. This is where money managers, this is where they're paid to do their job. It's easy when everything's going up, but in times like this is when you got to be able to call your clients and you explain to them what's going on and be able to stay level-headed. And a lot of people in our locker room and just clients in general and friends that know I follow the market are texting me wondering what's going on. And these are kind of unprecedented times, man. We've never fallen this sharply from all-time highs. I mean, we lost over 30% in 3 weeks. That's never happened even really back in 2008. And what we're seeing right now is a lot of people trade on emotion because we don't have a lot of facts. We don't really know how this is going to affect our economy yet because most companies haven't come out with earnings and stats and things like that as of yet. So a lot of people are trading on emotion. And after you just go through a 10-year bull market, which means it was basically up for 10 straight years, a lot of people are starting to take their profits over that 10-year span. And you're just kind of seeing it just day after day basically take its toll on the market.
Now, kind of going back to the baseball side, what have you been able to do? Because obviously the layoff for pitchers is different than a position player because you guys have to build back up and all that.
Yeah, it's been interesting. I've gone back and forth. I really battled with whether to stay in Arizona, whether to go to Los Angeles, or whether to come on home to Texas because, at first we thought it was just a couple weeks. So it's like, okay, I got to stay off the mound. I got to stay built up. Then all of a sudden it's, we're on basically no more than 10 people at a time for 8 weeks, which puts that into the middle of May, which means basically another spring training can't start until May, which means you're almost not looking until opening day of June at some point. So now it's, basically like it's early January of an off season. So it's back to getting big and strong and staying in shape. And not really, you're thrown off the mound a little bit, but it's not your top priority. You're just basically trying to stay in shape, and we're all just kind of waiting for a phone call to get some more information because as of now, we really don't know anything. So it's just kind of stay the course like a normal off season almost.
How long would you say? I know it's each pitcher's different, just individually, and obviously starters and relievers, but is there a minimum baseline that you think pitchers would need to kind of be ready in a second spring training to be ready for the season?
Yeah, there's been a lot of talk amongst each other on that. And, like you said, everyone's a little different. I think most would want 3 starts, 2, 3, 4, or 3, 4, 5 innings. So that puts it at 15 days at least for a spring training 2.0.
Mm-hmm.
And I think most people could be ready about that or for that. It sounds like we might have expanded rosters. I think if you go back to I think it was the 94-95 strike, they opened up with expanded rosters. So I think we'd be looking at a situation like that, especially if these rumors of, multiple doubleheaders a week are true.
Right.
So I think most guys would want at least 3 starts. And, that's going to be what takes the most time. Hitters, they only need a handful of games and they're ready, but starting pitchers have to build up, and that's where the time is going to kind of come to be a factor.
Have you given much thought to what it might be like playing without fans in attendance?
Yeah, we definitely. I mean, when that starts getting thrown around as an option, you definitely start thinking of it. They were showing that Orioles game from years ago where they were playing in front of no fans, and just almost eerie, how kind of weird that was, and to have just no white noise in the background. It does sound very funny. It's obviously, we're in the entertainment business, and fans, that's what we get up for. That's what we're excited about. A lot of times your body hurts and you're struggling, and then you go outside and you see 40,000 Dodger fans in the stadium, and you're like, you don't feel any pain anymore. Now you're just, adrenaline takes over and you're excited. So it would be very, very different. Obviously not what we want to do, but at the end of the day, we do want to get on the field and play baseball. And if that's the only way to do it, then obviously we're open to it.
Right. Now, on a personal level, how have you kind of passed time, kind of being quarantined? I saw you did some writing and with some Netflix suggestions.
Yeah, the podcast is definitely kind of, I don't want to say priority 1 right now because that's not the right term, but it's, it's a good way to keep fans and baseball fanatics, sports fanatics, excited about sports right now when there's just kind of nothing to look at and no sports to watch. And, so that is kind of something I'm focusing on. I got some good interviews lined up with some major leaguers where I'm going to try and at least put out some content and keep people excited about baseball during this downtime. But, there's only so much I can do. Obviously, we'd all rather be on the field playing, but I'm a busybody by nature, and the podcast is a good outlet for some stuff. Like you said, I started writing. I don't know. Writing's tough, as you know. I definitely applaud you for doing that for a living, man. But it's fun. It's a good outlet, and we'll keep it going during this downtime. But obviously, hoping baseball comes back sooner than later.
I was happy to see that you didn't buy into Love Is Blind.
Dude, everyone loves it, and it just is not for me. And I'm kind of a reality TV guy. I've watched Big Brother, I've watched The Bachelor, I've watched all that stuff, and people seem to love this just as much. And I don't know if it was the cast or the idea or what, but it just was not for me.
Have you seen The Circle on Netflix?
No, I've had a lot of people recommend it to me, and it looks like it'd be up our alley. It looks funny and entertaining. I'm sure we'll get to it eventually. Did you watch it?
No. Well, I mean, I guess I saw bits and pieces. My wife watched it and she liked it, but I was just curious because I think it's similar to, at least from what I've heard, Love is Blind. So I was just curious if maybe you liked it better.
Yeah, I think I just like the premise of it better. You know, it's not really a dating thing. It's more of just a popularity contest.
Right.
People either acting themselves or acting fake to try and be popular. That sounds better than people getting engaged after 2 weeks without ever seeing each other.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, that was pretty much all I had.
Okay.
Awesome.
Awesome.
Thanks again for taking the time to do this.